was like...
Campers! Hey campers, welcome back to Camp Insomnia. Hi, my name is Zach and I am your head camp counselor.
I'm Macy and I'm a camper.
She's a camper. Hi you guys, I brought a special guest and it is my sister from the same Mr. Mac. So say hello.
Hello.
Hi, how are you?
I'm okay.
And how was your Christmas?
It was really good.
It was really good? What was the highlight?
I guess seeing you.
Yeah, that's right. So I like you guys know I surprised my family for Thanksgiving, for Christmas, and everybody about shit themselves. I'll have to post a video of your other head camp counselor Jacob reacting because I got video of him, but not of you though. No.
I just heard you.
Yeah, I saw you in the hallway and I just like smothered you. But yeah, Christmas is over and the New Year's on its way, and Devin is not here for the 50th. Today we were going to do a listener story, right? All your guys' written in stories for this episode, but you know, life happens and Devin is unavailable, but we still wanted to put out an episode for you guys. So we're going to save the listener episode for episode 51, and this one will be just like a regular one, but with a special guest.
Yeah.
Be my sister.
Yeah.
And the last time you guys heard Macy Mac was, what? The paranormal games?
Yeah, it was. Yeah.
And I asked if you played any, you're like, no, just Bloody Mary.
Yeah, Bloody Mary.
Yeah.
Spooky.
But yeah. Other news. I'm not working right now, thank God. And I'm just chilling. And I'm kind of under the weather. I have a sore throat, but that's just because I have a fan blowing on my face all night, so it's probably why. But yeah, any other updates for you, Mac, that you want our campers to know from camper to camper?
No, not really. I'm not doing anything like at all.
No?
I'm graduating, that's it.
Hey! Hell yeah. Woo! Adding like cheers. Woo! All right. So, without further ado, let's gather around the campfire. Okay, so what do we bring to the campfire, Mace?
Let's change it up. Let's do like little weenies.
We bring little weenies. What else are we bringing?
Weenies and some cheese.
Some cheese?
Yeah.
Weenies and cheese?
Like some fondue.
Some fondue to dip the weenies in.
Yeah.
Alright, anything else? You can bring anything.
I don't know. I don't want to basic and say s'mores. So like... kebabs.
Okay, kebabs. Cool. Alright. Cool. All right. Well, campers, today we are going to be talking about bum drum roll please. We are talking about the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. Ooh, have you heard of this place?
No, never.
No, never.
Never.
Ever.
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, this is just a forewarning before we start this episode, not only for myself, for Mac, but for all of our listeners at home or wherever you're at. We're going to be talking about a lot of severe mental health and malpractice issues with mental health and people being abused, physically abused. If this is a trigger warning for you, I suggest coming back on quote unquote a lighter episode, maybe our last one. But if not, and you're like, F that forewarning, let's hear all about mental health and abuse, then this is the episode for you, I guess. But like we say with every episode, we come with love and positivity, and we're not here to make fun of these people. We're just here to report a story around the campfire that is honestly very terrifying, because this really did happen, and people are cuckoo.
Crazy.
They're crazy. I think we can agree.
Yep.
Don't trust anybody.
Mm-mm.
No, don't even trust me. So if you're sensitive to, to this topic, then, watch later. But we're going to be talking, like I said, about the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. And where is this place, right? What does it look like? I'm going to give you guys the history, what it looks like, and the whole rundown. So put on your straitjackets and get ready. So this massive building, right, has large green lawns. It is nestled in the woods of Weston, West Virginia. As some may say, look like a university, almost like a giant campus or college, or some sort of like giant wealthy mansion. It was nothing of the sort because it was a what? Lunatic asylum.
Okay.
Very pretty building. Very pretty building. Gorgeous. Has a really pretty fountain in the front. You're like, wow, beautiful. But the inside is, wow, terrifying. So here's some history. The building was given the A-OK to be built by the Virginia General Assembly in the early 1850s. So this building's been around for a while. The building would feature Gothic Revival and Tudor Revival styles as designed by Richard Snowden Andrews. Construction on the site along the West Fork River opposite downtown Weston began in late 1858. Work initially conducted by prison laborers. A local newspaper in November of that year noted 7 convict Negroes as the first arrivals for work on the project. Anyways, so construction was interrupted by an outbreak of the American Civil War in 1861. Following its secession from the United States, the government of Virginia demanded the return of the hospital's unused construction funds for its defense. So they're like, you ain't using this hotel? Hotel.
I was like, that's a
hotel. Building, we're going to use it for defense because it's massive.
Okay.
Yeah. So, not a hotel. Anything but. So before this could occur, the 7th Ohio Volunteer Infantry seized the money back from the local bank. They're like, you ain't going to make this, your little defense operation. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Delivering it back to Wheeling City. It was put towards the establishment of the reorganized government of Virginia, which sided with the northern states during the war. So good side, not the south. They were the north. Yeah. So the reorganized government appropriated money to resume construction in 1862, following the admission of West Virginia as a U.S. state in 1863. The hospital was renamed the West Virginia Hospital for the Insane, instead of what it was before, which was, the Lunatic Asylum. Okay. I mean, this sounds a little nicer. Anyways, so recap of everything. Try to get it built. A Civil War was like, nah, fam, that's our building now. And they're like, nah, fam, it ain't your building anymore. Mm-hmm. It's our hospital. They finished building it, and now we're going to start getting patients.
Okay.
All right. So the first patients were admitted in October of 1864, but construction continued into 1881. The 200-foot central clock tower was completed in 1871, and separate rooms for Black people were completed in 1873. Hashtag segregation. And separate rooms, like I said, for Black people, completed in 1873. The hospital was intended to be self-sufficient. It had a farm. They were like cows, so they could have like dairy. There was a waterworks system, and there's a cemetery located on the grounds. And also, what's really crazy about this place is that, you know how many acres this place sat on? 666.
Jesus Christ.
So 666 acres.
That is disturbing.
That's disturbing. That's a sign. So, like I was saying, the hospital was on 666 acres of land and had more than 13 buildings. So 666, and it had 13 buildings.
Are there like different departments? Or
like no. Just it's just like for housing of patients. But it's crazy because 666 is real. Is like the devil's mark,
yeah.
And then 13 buildings is also like 13 is like a cursed number. So it kind of seemed like it was just meant meant to be spooky. So these buildings would soon become home to the infamous Dr. Thomas Story Kirkbride. Do you know who he was?
No.
No? Never heard of his name?
Nope, never heard of his name.
We're going to hear now. He was a crusader for the mentally ill. Wow. And would later find the American Psychiatric Association. Cool guy. Right?
Sure.
Cool. Kirkbride was different from his predecessors, where instead of treating mentally ill people as it being irreversible and the only way to treat it with brute force and shoved into a dark closet, right? That was like the way to do it.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you have schizophrenia? I'm gonna dunk you in ice water and then beat you with a stick.
Until it goes away.
Until it goes away. That's not how the fucking works. But he wanted to treat people with mental illness with more humane treatments.
Okay.
As we should have been doing.
Yeah.
Kirkbride advocated the importance for fresh air and light and suggested that asylums need to be built with long halls and 12-foot ceilings, plenty of windows for cool breezes, right?
Okay.
Also, that the patients needed to have freedom. He felt that they should be allowed to roam free to stimulate their minds. And somehow it would give them better control over their own lives. Right? So it's smart. He's like, we can help cure this by not beating them with a fucking stick.
Yeah.
And treating them nicer and letting them have some freedom instead of being like confined to like a room. Yeah. So his ideas would soon take effect with the construction of Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum. That's why it has so many windows and long hallways and tall ceilings because of him, which is good. Yeah. Right? When the asylum opened, as stated before 1863, it was renamed, as we said, to the West Virginia Hospital for the Insane. A lot nicer than the Lunatic Asylum. At the time, it could house 250 patients, each with their own private bedroom. So pretty nice. Yeah. Pretty nice. It's your own bedroom. Cool. At the time of opening, it was the most ideal place for someone suffering from severe mental illness or illnesses to live. It was open, it was free, it was self-sustaining, and comfortable for its patients. Sounds great.
Yeah, it sounds fine.
When does the shit hit the fan?
Yeah, I was like, something's gonna go wrong.
Yeah, so in 1881, well, it all went to shit. Due to the overwhelming increase in mental health diagnoses and the stigma around being mentally unfit, the hospital soon found itself sustaining relaxing, open facilities overrun from going from 250 people to now housing more than 500 patients.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah, it went up. It went up a lot. And also mental health diagnoses were really like, oh, I have a really bad headache. You're mentally disabled. You have too many headaches.
What the heck?
You know, literally. Or like another one is like, oh, you're gay? You're going to the hospital. Or, oh, wow, like your eye twitches? You're mentally disabled. Oh, you don't want to cook dinner for me anymore? Wife? I'm committing you for not being obedient. Like, people, I mean, besides actual mental illnesses, people would take things that aren't considered mentally ill and would throw them into asylums. Sad. That's the truth of it. So at the time of, like I said, well, due to this, well, the hospital's conditions were declining dramatically because there's so many patients. Patients were crammed into rooms, living on top of one another. Showering was limited, so everyone like stank like ass, and not enough staff were able to take care of the hundreds of patients because they were only staffed to care for 200
and like 50, right?
Yeah, 250, then 500. So soon patients were suffering from malnutrition as a self-sustaining farm that was meant for 250 to 300 and not 500. It couldn't meet the demands of the ever-crowding and population of its patients. By 1938, the hospital was now 6 times over capacity. It went from 250 to 1,500 in population.
Holy moly.
Yeah. The staff weren't able to gain control over the thousands of patients, and mental health was at its like boiling point, and it was like too far gone. Like, they weren't really helping anybody. They were just housing people at this point.
Wow. It's like a hotel.
Yeah. Like a hotel, except a very shitty hotel. So by 1950, right? Mm-hmm. Now the hospital was holding 2,600 patients. Originally supposed to only hold 250. Now it's at 2,600.
couldn't they just be like, no, girl, we don't want you here? Just like,
Yeah, well, because it was a state asylum, the state was like, you have to take him because we own this. It wasn't like a private institution. So, anyways, well, if anybody's seen American Horror Story Season 2 called Asylum, which is my favorite season, the season was inspired by this hospital. And also, one of their key characters in the show, Lana Winters, was inspired by a crew of investigators. These real-life investigators were from the Charleston Gazette, and their main goal was to expose the terrible conditions of the hospital, and what they found was horrifying. So in Asylum, Season 2 Asylum, right, in American Horror Story, Lana Winters breaks in to basically expose what's going on, not only in the asylum, but also there's like a serial killer that she's trying to find, right? And when she gets out, she releases an expose of Briarcliff, the quote-unquote fake, this fictional asylum. But that storyline was based off these actual people that did that. They broke in, they took a bunch of pictures and video, and they exposed what was going on there.
Okay.
All right. So what they found patients were sleeping on the floors in bedrooms, hallways, bathrooms, closets, practically anywhere. And they were all freezing due to the hospital's lack of heat or furniture for their patients. The overcrowding had resulted in overworked staff and a decreased emphasis on sanitation. So it was really grimy. The once bright, clear windows were now covered in grime. Darkened and further chilling the rooms, right? Because it's all, no light's getting in. The wallpaper was peeling from decay and browning, to the point where some of the wallpaper just started to like disintegrate on its own.
Ew.
Yeah, the patients had also started to tear off parts of the wall because they're panicking because they're not getting the attention they need or the help.
Oh my god,
Yeah.
that's so bad.
So to make matters worse, they also found that the patients that they were like unable to control, like the very aggressive ones, or the ones that just they needed attention like constantly, that they just couldn't because they had all these patients. They put them into cages. They were locked in cages in open spaces. So like imagine like in our living room, there's like a cage with a person inside. Yeah, right? Good times. Macy's speechless. So, suicide was the death that was common in the hospital, with patients using their bed sheets as nooses and hanging themselves from the exposed water pipes above. Here's some stories of deaths that have taken place there. Apparently, the daughter of a local dentist, who was a patient at the hospital, received a day pass stating that she could leave from morning until night. Right? Okay. She went into town and purchased some lighter fluid. She snuck it back in, poured it all over herself in her bedroom, and lit herself on fire. When staff were able to put out the fire, they laid her motion. They played their motionless on the floor. Oh, she laid there motionless on the floor until suddenly she opened her eyes and said, "I didn't do such a good job, did I?" She would then later die in a burn unit in Pittsburgh Hospital. She succumbed to her injuries. So that's one death that happened there. One night, two patients pulled another from their bed. These patients, these two criminals, right? They're criminally insane people, pulled out another patient from their bed. And this patient that they pulled out of their bed was a super kind person, had random outbursts of aggression, but nonetheless, like this hospital staff loved this person. And I watched a interview with the lady that used to work there back in the day, and she was there when that patient has passed, and she goes, "Yeah, he was aggressive every now and then, but he was like the sweetest patient I've ever known." These two criminally insane patients, they grabbed the patient that was sleeping, the bed sheets, tied a noose around that patient's neck, and threw the bed sheets over the hanging water pipes. So they were going to hang this guy. They would raise him up just until he passed out, and then brung him down, and they did this a few times until he eventually passed out. So they would hang him until he was about to pass out, then drop him. Then put him back up, hang him until he was about to pass out, and then drop him.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So he eventually just like passed out, right? From being constantly strangled.
Yeah.
Then they shoved his head under one of the metal legs to the metal bed frame, and then as one of them held him down, the other began jumping up and down on the bed frame until the metal bedpost pierced through the patient's skull and brain, killing him instantly. Yeah.
Who thinks of that? That's...
These criminally insane people.
Yeah, but like... Okay, whatever. Stupid people.
Crazy though, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that's like they... Wow. Like, no words. Another story that happened there, another incident. A nurse would soon go missing one night on her shift, and some assumed that she had went home, but days passed and still no sign of this missing nurse. So the police came. The police became involved, and they started to search the hospital. They didn't search the entirety of the hospital because it was so overrun with patients. They just couldn't get into every room because they were overcrowded, and so they quit their search. Again, they didn't search the entire building. It wasn't until 2 months later they found her decaying body at the bottom of an unused stairwell, where a patient murdered her and kept her body there. Yeah.
So much for their freedom.
Yeah. Well, it's all this overcrowding, and they're not getting the medical attention that they need. And
couldn't they like tell the state that they were overrun and they need more money to like make?
I think the
buildings?
state knows.
Well,
But it's gonna cost the state money. I don't know why. I don't know.
Yeah, they could have made more buildings.
I mean, it's terrible. I don't know why they didn't. Maybe they didn't have land. I mean, I don't know.
It sounded great to start with.
Yes, yeah, it was. It was gonna be great to start with, and then it just kind of went to shit. Well, due to all this unorthodox conduct thrust upon the patients in the hospital, a new surgeon would set up shop, and his name was Walter Freeman. You know who Walter Freeman is, Mace?
I feel like I've heard of him.
You might have learned of him in your psychology class.
Oh yeah, wait, okay.
Walter Freeman would begin using this asylum for training on his very experimental lobotomies. Yeah. So Freeman in his lifetime would end up performing over 4,000 lobotomies, leaving an endless trail of perfectly healthy patients with physical and cognitive damage. He claimed that what he was doing was making people live lifelong lives, healthier ones and longer ones, through this operation by, quote unquote, cutting the brain cures the soul. Cutting the brain cures the soul. I don't think that's how that works.
Yeah.
But okay. Freeman used the quote ice pick method when it came to lobotomies. The method involved inserting a very thin, pointed-like rod into the patient's eye socket and using a hammer to force it in to sever the connective tissue in the brain's prefrontal cortex.
Isn't it like in Ratchet how you like...
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That is disgusting.
Yeah. Some would make it out alive with severe damage, or they would die on the operating table. The New York Times and Life magazine, two huge companies, two big brands, both called it a miracle cure for the mentally ill. Yeah. Again, the New York Times, everybody, and Life magazine, everybody, called it a miracle cure for the mentally ill by shoving a fucking ice pick in your eye socket and just stirring it around. Miracle, like a stew. Like a stew. Like a little stew. So the method, like I said, lobotomies even won a Nobel Prize.
What the? For stirring it around.
Yep. Miracle cure.
Didn't even do anything.
No, these
made them worse.
Yeah, it made them worse. So, it was said that this operation helped stop addictions, thoughts of suicide, depression, obsessions, compulsive disorders, PTSD, anxiety, headaches, stress, and the list goes on. So sometimes people will be like, wow, I have a really bad headache, or wow, I'm stressed because of work. Like, lobotomy, it'll help you. And they're like, wow, will it? Like, we just basically fuck up your brain.
So you can't think no more.
Basically.
Pop like an ibuprofen and call it
Yeah,
good.
I don't know. So by the time the hospital had closed its doors, only part of its grounds had been expanded to make way for the influx of death, and a graveyard was made for all these dead people dying. The expose made and published by the Gazette helped close down the hospital, but it wasn't until 1994 that it officially closed its doors for good. 1994, a year before I was born, so fairly recent.
Jesus.
It took that long. And they did the expose back in like 1950, 60. It took that long for them to shut the doors. Yeah. So, from then until 2007, so from 1994 to 2007, it sat abandoned, left to just like rot and wither away, right? Just let it die. Well, the hospital was auctioned by the West Virginia Department of Health and Human Resources on August 29th, 2007. Joe Jordan, an asbestos demolition contractor for Morgantown, was the highest bidder and paid $1.5 million for the 242,000 square foot building. Bidding started at $500,000, and it got up to $1.5 million. That's crazy. Joe Jordan had also begun maintenance projects on the former hospital grounds. In October 2007, a fall fest was held at the Weston State Hospital. Later that fall, it reopened its doors, and tours were offered to anyone that wished to see the inside of the asylum for themselves.
So he just bought it just to show it, like, around?
Yeah, basically. They'll fix it up, do tours and stuff.
Okay.
Because it has history, dark history, and people like that.
Yeah.
Like me, like you. So the main building for the asylum, known as Kirkbride, holds several rooms that serve as a museum located on the first floor. There are paintings, poems, and drawings made by the patients and the art therapy programs, a room dedicated to different medical treatments and restraints used in the past, and artifacts such as a straitjacket and a hydrotherapy tub. Right? That's like what the museum has.
Yeah.
The tour guides dress in clothes that resemble 19th century nurse outfits. So a blue dress, a white apron, white cap, and white shoes, just to make, the ambiance and make you feel like you're there. So the shorter historical tour offers word vomit. Anyways, it allows visitors to see the first floor Kirkbride, while the longer historical tour allows visitors to see all 4 floors, apartments for the staff, the morgue, and the operating room.
Okay.
So, aside from the historical tours, there are 2 paranormal tours. Both start as the sun sets, and the shorter tour lasting around 2 to 3 hours. The longer tour being overnight with the option to have a private tour. Right?
Okay.
So let's talk about some ghosts now, baby. Some ghosts. So that was basically the history for everybody. Now we're going to talk about like what kind of residual negative energy and like has lasted, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they do have a resident ghost, and that spirit goes by the name of Lily.
Cute.
Little Lily. She haunts the 4th floor in Ward R. She is by far the #1 spirit in the asylum that communicates with ghost/paranormal investigators today. So there are 2 stories of Lily and who she is. One is that she was a patient who spent her short life inside the asylum. Or secondly, she was born to a female patient, then kept safe by hospital staff until she passed away from pneumonia, dying at only 9 years old. So you don't really know who Lily is. This is like speculation. Yeah. Visitors will bring her toys to her on the 4th floor to play with her, spreading them around her room on the 4th floor. Lily has been known to move them around and play with these toys. Visitors are sure the little girl is playing with them, especially when they suddenly see a bouncing ball go down the hallway all by itself. What would you do?
Probably poop my pants, but at least she appreciated it.
So down in the kitchen of the asylum, staff and visitors alike say they feel like they're being watched. One night, a security guard for the building was doing his nightly rounds when he had passed the kitchen late at night. When he passed it, he felt as if something was staring at him, and he felt a very strong negative presence. Just just when we began, what the fuck am I saying? Just when he began to see movement in the kitchen, suddenly he came face to face with a grayish figure. The man said it looked like a woman. The grayish figure stood suspended in space at the open doorway, staring at the security guard, and then vanished. Another one is many paranormal investigators believe in the stone tape theory. Do you know what that is? Mm-hmm. So, the stone tape theory is a theory where a place or building is made up of certain type of material or stone which can hold energy, put out by the events that have taken place there, almost like as if a tape recorder will hold onto the sound.
Okay.
All right. So because of all this malpractice, these poor patients, and them going more down the rabbit hole, becoming worse mentally, just kind of stained the building. Right.
Okay.
Not good.
Mm-mm.
No. But many believe that that's why things like this stay there. Many believe due to the horrific events that have taken place from the experimental lobotomies, murders, suicides, welfare of life there, that it has stained the building and the grounds of the asylum, which I can agree with. There's another spirit there that's constantly made connection with paranormal investigators, and she goes by the name of Jane. Well, the owner of the building always kept a log of any names that paranormal investigators find or communicate with, and she tries to find them in the hospital's log of patients, which is smart. Oh, you talked to a man named Jack tonight in your investigation? What did he give you a last name? Oh, Jack Smith? Well, let's look in the logs. And then if there's a Jack Smith in the logs, cool. They know that it's legit. Well, after this investigator found the name Jane, so she found a woman named Jane. She committed suicide in the hospital, and thus she was able to confirm that the spirit was once a patient in the asylum.
That's cool.
Yeah, it is pretty cool. Pretty cool. They're able to put like a record to the name. Yeah. So a very famous paranormal investigator went, and no, it was not Zach Bagel Bites. That was not him, unfortunately. It was Nick Groff. I don't know if you remember him. He used to be on Ghost Hunters. I mean, not Ghost Hunters, Ghost Adventures. That he left.
Oh, yeah, him.
Yeah. So he has his own show called Paranormal Lockdown, where they investigate it.
Okay.
And he's been there before. All right. So, if you guys don't know what Paranormal Lockdown is, it's a show hosted by an ex-Ghost Adventure crew member named Nick Groff. And in this episode of the show called Paranormal Lockdown, he and another investigator, Katrina, investigate the Trans-Allegheny Lunatic Asylum for 72 hours. So they stay there for 3 days.
What the heck?
Yeah. And here's some of the experiences with the ghosts there. So I watched the entire episode. I just kind of like broke it down to like some of the crazy stuff that they experienced, because they were there for 3 days. I'm not going to talk about what the hell they did for 3 days.
Yeah.
It's just too long. So one of the reasons as to why they chose to do 3 days was due to the fact that there are over 13 buildings to investigate.
Yeah.
Nick Groff has investigated here before, and he for sure wanted to cover more ground that he had previously been able to do before. He's like, last time I was here, I was only here for like a night. Wasn't able to cover all these crazy buildings. Like, I want to do it again. So one of the coolest things they did in this investigation is that they got to investigate the second oldest building on the property, called the Women's Auxiliary Building, which has remained off limits due to the rapid deterioration of it. I'm assuming they got to get in because they got like camera crew,
they got money,
and they got money, and they got like Travel Channel like,
yeah,
let us in. She's like, sure. Anyway, so when I say like this building was like rapidly deteriorating, like when they went inside, it was like Silent Hill. Like everything was peeling and falling apart. It's pretty spooky looking. So I can see why. So the minute they enter the building, Nick sees a dark shadow figure standing in one of the room's doorways. The minute they walk in. So Nick instantly pulls out a recording device to do an EVP. You know what an EVP is? What is it? A little
yeah, recording.
So everybody that doesn't know what EVP stands for Electronic Voice Phenomena, and which the recording device will pick up sound frequencies that we cannot hear with our own ears. Right? That's the whole point.
Yeah.
It's like a little recording device.
That's what I meant.
Yeah. You play it back, you can hear things that you can't hear with your own ears. Great tool when trying to communicate with spirits. Anyways, he asks if he saw a man or person standing in the doorway, and if what he saw was true. He was asking these spirits, "Did I see someone standing in the doorway, or didn't I? Am I going fucking crazy?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? And when they played back the recording, it instantly came back through and said, "Yes."
That is.
Yeah. So the other investigator in the same EVP asked if the spirit knew they were dead, and when they listened back, it said no.
So they're like in limbo?
Yeah, so they don't know they're dead?
They're like not okay with it?
I guess. I don't know. That night, they end up sleeping in the asylum.
What? In that one?
Yeah.
Okay.
They both split up into different wards and sleep on a cot in the middle of the hallway.
Oh, why?
And all the doors are open. Unlike the hallway, all the doors are open.
Mm-mm.
They sleep in the middle of it, right? It's fucking spooky. Nothing too much to note, right? Except for when Nick was about to go to sleep, a large bang/thud hit the ground just above his head on the floor where he was sleeping. It was loud. So imagine you sleeping, right? And then somebody just jumps right at the foot of your bed.
Oh, that is so
right where your
gross.
head is at. Just bam.
I would.
So that night, like I said, that happened, right? The following night, they get to investigate. Oh my god. Sorry, hold on. Oh. So that's what happened that night, right? Well, the following night, they get to investigate the women's auxiliary building again, but at nighttime this time.
Okay.
The other time was during the day. They do an EVP session with a box called a geobox. And what a geobox is basically it uses 3 different types of frequencies to be able to easily filter out voices from the other side. So you know, like the ghost puck, and it has like really loud static wave.
Yeah, I hate that thing.
Yeah, and he'll be like, boobies.
yeah.
So it's like that, but without the static. So you would only hear the words.
Oh, okay.
Them say anything, right? So it'd be silent and then boobies. Okay.
Yeah.
So they ask if anyone would be willing to speak, to come forward, but all they got was silence until a few female spirits came through to say hello, right? When suddenly a demanding, powerful male voice comes through and says, "Don't say a word." They feel like these woman spirits are in danger, so they say that they don't have to listen to this man telling them to not speak.
Yeah.
Then the same dark male voice comes back and says, "No." Then they ask, why can't they talk to us? To which this male voice replies,
"I'm telling you."
Yeah. Katrina then says, well, if you say my name for me, I will stop asking questions and I will leave. And she's saying this, Katrina, to see if that spirit is intelligent.
Yeah.
Right? If you can repeat my name, then you're intelligent. You can respond back. You know what's going on. So a few seconds go by, and the male spirit voice comes back and says, Katrina.
Ooh.
Yeah. So they kept their word and they left. They're like, all right, you said my name? I'm out. You know? So they eventually split up. Katrina sleeps in the morgue. And Nick sleeps in the basement.
Wow.
Wow. What a mood. Katrina heard footsteps in the morgue and then asked the spirit if they can make a noise in the morgue for her. And mind you, she's sleeping in the morgue, like on the little morgue table, in it. She's like in the little thing. Yeah. So she's asking, hey, just like make a noise. I hear footsteps. Just make a noise so that I know you're here. The minute she asks this, a clinking can be heard from the morgue slab directly next to her. Like someone was in it.
Ew.
Yeah. The next day, not the next day, sorry. Nick, on the other hand, because he's in the basement,
Yeah.
he's seeing like shadow figures. He thinks he sees shadow figures and is like experiencing like voices, like disembodied voices, and hearing footsteps in the basement with him, but nothing too scary. I mean, it's still terrifying, but nothing too scary, like anything touching him or anything.
Yeah.
So the next day, they have two investigators join them. And they're friends with Nick and Katrina, and they're Adam Barry and Amy Bruni.
Okay.
And they're just coming along to investigate. He's hoping that they can help erase the activity and possibly get a chance to see a shadow person, because now there's 4 people, there's more energy that these beings, these spirits can feed. Yeah, exactly. Feed off of. So, like I said, Nick has investigated here back in 2009, where he had a terrifying experience with a shadow figure, and the shadow figure he ran into rushed him on the 4th floor.
Ooh.
Yeah, so it was like sprinted at him. Yeah, so where does he take his friends? Right? Where does he take him? He takes them to the 4th floor, exactly, where they hopes that they all experience this again, but together. Gotta love friendship.
Yep.
Adam wants to try and lay in the middle of the floor like Nick Groff did. He's like, hey, I know you did it. I want to try it now. Like, can't be that spooky. And he wanted to feel how like vulnerable it was, so they leave Adam there with a recording device, and Adam starts to ask questions. As the rest of the team go off into a different ward to not contaminate Adam's recording, Adam is left alone, laying on a cot in the middle of the hallway on the 4th floor, which is a very, very active spot. Right? Within minutes, Adam comes running and rushing to find them, saying, it was like people were moving all around me and rushing up on me, and I just couldn't handle it. Yeah. So they replayed his recording to see if they got EVP evidence, and what he got from the little time he was there, because it wasn't there very long. Maybe there for like 20 minutes. As Adam was asking questions to the spirits, he then got a response no one was expecting. And the response was, hello, Adam.
Bruh.
Yeah.
Ooh.
So Adam is freaking out.
Yeah, how too.
And when you listen to it, like, it's clear. Like, I'll show you the episode. It's literally, it goes, hello, Adam. Like, it's clear as day. So everyone is scared shitless. This thing like knows him because he's investigated this place before, and he just was like, just what the fuck. So towards the middle of their investigation, activity spikes. They both start seeing a black shadow figure darting in and out of the rooms, and feeling an overwhelming sense of anxiety and stress. They often state that it felt as if these shadow people were playing with them. The minute they would have no activity, a shadow being would be seen at the end of the hallway. So just as they were done, like nothing's happening, then they turn around and it'd be at the end of the hallway.
Oh, shit.
Just standing there. So then they would go and chase it, right? They'd be like, oh, we see you, spook a ghost. I'm gonna come get you. And by the time they get to the end of the hallway, they turn around, it's at the other end of the hallway now.
I was just playing games with them.
Yeah, basically. So at one point, right, they see the shadow figure. They're like, okay, if we go forward, see it disappear. Maybe if we walk backwards and then turn around, it'll be right there.
Yeah.
Right? So they began to walk backwards to see if it would sneak around them again, like I said, and see it this time and catch it off guard. Well, as they were being filmed doing that, because they have, it's Nick, Katrina, and like their film guy, and he's filming them as they're walking backwards. The cameraman told them to stop. Like, don't fucking move. The cameraman was like, he was like scared shitless. And the reason why is because he told them that a pale mist-like snake or a thin, emaciated person was moving its way down the hallway into another room, like slithering on the floor and into another room. So they were like, what the fuck? He goes, well, I caught it all on camera. So now the footage is a little grainy. I'm going to show you it. I watched like the actual episode of it and it's clearer, but like the YouTube video, it's kind of grainy, but you see it. It kind of looks like a white misty like snake, but like an anaconda, like huge, slithering into the other room. Or it kind of looks like a person like on all fours, on their forearms, like crawling, but like in a slithery motion.
I've never even heard anything like that.
Exactly, or seen anything like that. So they replay. When they replay them, starting to walk backwards. At the very beginning, they talk about walking backwards and da 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 to see if they can see it.
Yeah.
Well, I'll put this on the Instagram for everybody, but you can see like this thing, and I'll have to boost the exposure so you guys can see it. But it's there, and it's just lying in the middle of the hallway until they started walking backwards towards it. Right? So also, mind you, they were maybe 8 feet away from this thing as it slithered on the ground behind them into another room. So they were pretty close. So it's nightmare fuel campers. Anyways, they tried to investigate more that night, trying to get that thing to come back and communicate, but to no avail. Like nothing happened. But if you're interested in watching the full episode, it is season 1, episode 1, A Paranormal Lockdown. And that concludes today's episode.
That's terrifying.
Terrifying. So do you want to visit?
Maybe.
I'm down. I would love to do a paranormal investigation. That'd be kind of crazy.
That would be cool.
I just don't want to run into the slither bitch. The snake ghost.
Who's the guy who told like the girls to like be quiet and like not to talk?
I don't know. Maybe it was another aggressive patient.
But wasn't it just the females like
the female ward? Yeah. Maybe it could have been past guard or doctor or nurse or something. Doctor. Could be. I don't know. I don't know. Die and find out.
Okay.
Become a ghost and go over there and ask questions.
Okay.
Anyways, campers, thank you for listening. Like we always do, let's tell a joke. I'll find a joke, and Macy will say a joke, and then we will bid you adieu. So, what kind of music should we play for them, and while we search?
I have a good song.
Any kind of music, any genre.
Any genre? Like rap.
Rap?
Yeah.
Rap music?
Yeah.
All right, we're playing some rap music. Okay.
Now I'm in the game, I was on the bench. First I was renting, now I'm collecting rent. Run it up. First it with the Beamer, now I want the Benz. Spending all the bag like here I go again.
We are back, campers, with some jokes. So we found 2 jokes. Mac is gonna go first. So
This is okay.
Tell us a joke.
I don't even read it yet. Okay. A guy, I gotta restart. A guy got brought up.
You got this.
Okay. A guy got brought up to an insane asylum, and the doctor asked for his name. Doctor, your name, please, patient. I am John F. Kennedy. Doctor, that's very nice. We got a lot of politicians here. Abraham Lincoln, Richard Nixon, George Washington. Patient, no, doc. I'm the airport. That's stupid.
Okay, so this one is, a man is walking beside the insane asylum when he hears a commotion coming over the fence. The people inside the asylum are chanting, 5, 5, 5, 5. He notices a small hole on the wall and curiously peeks inside to see what's going on. Someone pokes him in the eye with a stick, and then he hears chanting, 6, 6, 6, 6. Do you get it?
Wait.
Macy's so lost. Think about it. He hears them chanting 5, so he looks at the hole that's in the fence to see what they're saying 5 about. When he looks in, they poke him in the eye with the stick, and then they start saying 6.
Oh.
6, 6. Whoever does it.
Okay, get it now.
You got it, girl. You got
Okay.
Took you a minute. It's okay. It's okay. No shame. No shame. All tea, no shade. Anyways, campers, thank you for listening, and you can follow us on Instagram to see all the pictures of this amazing asylum at @campinsomnia_podcast. You can find all of our links to wherever you can listen to us on Spotify, Pandora, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Amazon Music, and our link tree in the description to this episode. And yeah, campers, it was cool to have my sister from the same mister back on another episode. And last time she was on an episode, we had, I think it was like 95 downloads. It was like something crazy. Hold on, let me go to it. You got us a lot of.
I'm just that
You got us a
cool.
lot of listeners.
Just that cool.
Paranormal games. Oh, it says 66, but that's not true. Last time I checked, it was like 90. Anyways, you're welcome. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, but thanks, campers, and good luck trying to sleep tonight. Ooh. Ooh.